Domestic abuse refers to a pattern of behavior in an intimate relationship that is used to gain or maintain power and control over a partner. It can manifest in various forms, including physical, emotional, psychological, sexual, and financial abuse. Now, this type of abuse not only affects the immediate victim, but also has far reaching consequences for families and communities. The threat of domestic abuse to thriving marriages is significant. It undermines trust, respect, and safety within the relationship. Now, when one partner feels threatened or controlled, it can lead to feelings of isolation, fear, and hopelessness. This creates an unhealthy environment that can erode the emotional connection and intimacy that are vital for a successful marriage. Moreover, domestic abuse can have a lasting effect on children who witness it, potentially perpetrating a cycle of violence in future generations. It can also lead to mental health issues for both the victim and the abuser, further complicating the dynamics of the marriage. Welcome to Insight Today. I am Jumai Manson. I am being joined by Mrs. Nike Adekunle. She is the lead therapist, the Marriage Haven. And do not go anywhere. Stay tuned. The program continues shortly. Welcome back. And if you're just tuning in, it's Insight Today on Global Television. And like I mentioned, I'm being joined by an amazing personality, a woman that you can call any time of the day and she'll always say, okay, I'll be there. She will not want to give you excuses. Not the person that Mrs. Nike Adekunle. She is the lead therapist, the Marriage Haven, and it's great to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being part of Insight Today, for coming on board. Now, looking at the issue on ground, we're looking at domestic abuse, and of course in thriving marriages, how it affects thriving marriages in the society in Nigeria. Now let's just define briefly what domestic abuse is all about. People say physical abuse, people say domestic violence, but let's look at domestic abuse. Is it the same? Do they work in tandem?
Yes, they do. Once you're being abused, it usually ends in violence. And so, yeah, there are different forms, like you said during your introduction. And before now, it used to be only physical violence that people used to pay, attention to. But now people are beginning to understand that there are various forms of abuse that gets people into that space where, like you rightly said, the perpetrator continues to hold power. Domestic abuse, domestic violence is usually about maintaining the dominance in the relationship. It's about dominance and control. And so the other person just wants to have more of the power in the relationship, and they do whatever it takes. So it can, if I know that what will break you is verbal abuse, I'll do that because I want to be in control and I want to have the most power in the relationship. When it comes to power splits, we advise that it is even or almost even. When you're talking about 50-50, 60-40 is the best that it can be. But once there is a shift of power and one person wields more power than the other person, then it is imbalance, and it means that that person, and for people that have enjoyed being in that vantage position, they want to continue holding and wielding the power within the relationship because they are in control.
They are in control. Yeah. Now, what are the common signs that can indicate a partner is in an unhealthy relationship?
One of the easiest way for us professionals to know is when I say that there's an uneven distribution of power between both parties. One person is in the relationship to pleasure and please the other person, and there are so many things that make it okay for a lot of people, because now that I'm saying it, a lot of people are thinking about it and it's like, no, but you are there to pleasure and please each other. But when it is not evenly distributed, then there's a problem with that. That means it's lopsided. So if everything I do is about pleasing you and you don't please me equally, because there are times especially these days, when a lot of young people now, they are very conversant with all these therapeutic languages and mental health terms. And
Yes.
so people just throw around, they say narcissist, is this, is that.
Yes,
you
exactly.
know? And so for us as professionals, it's not just about what someone has done wrong. Because we would always act wrong. Every single person, we have our weaknesses.
We're
and
not
our
perfect.
strengths. We are not perfect. But what makes us say that, okay, this person is, and maybe this person is a narcissist, is because it's high up there on the narcissistic scale. So that makes the person someone that we are looking out for, that this person does a lot. And once you are in a relationship with that kind of person, you can't defend yourself. You are always doing their biddings. They dictate everything that happens. As little as the color of your house, it has to be them. The food that you eat is your partner. Then you should begin to think about it, that do I really have a voice in this relationship? And if you discover that you don't have a voice, it is not time to begin to pack your bags or label your partner. Then we begin to look at deeper things. Why are you here in the first place? Were you cultured into believing that this is okay? Because most religions prep women to be in this state.
True.
And they see it as something that is okay. In fact, they see it as we are in love, until it now begins to get meaner and meaner. That's when they now begin to feel like, yeah, there's something wrong here. So once you begin to notice that there's the power split is not even, that is when you should begin to pay attention. So it can manifest in several ways. It's as little as the things that we eat in the house. Oh, I want to eat this and I want to do that. It's a no-brainer.
It's an, oh,
You are supposed to eat what I want to eat.
Exactly.
And little things like that. The children wants to go to school. I found out that this is better, and no, I say because I say so. And everything I do and everything that we must do in that marriage is because I say so, or because I'm in the vantage position. So there's a problem. So it can manifest in several ways.
it can. But mostly we do not talk about emotional abuse. We talk about more. We talk about physical abuse. Now, how does emotional abuse differ from physical abuse? And then why is it that people talk more on the physical abuse than emotional abuse that affects mental health? Why?
Okay, because physical abuse, like physical injuries, gets
We can
attention.
see.
Once I come with a black face, everybody is a black eye.
Very
Everybody's
true.
like, something must have happened to you to be here. So it is, people pay more attention to physical abuse, just like our physical health as well. But with physical injuries, you don't see anybody committing suicide.
True.
You understand?
Very true.
So it means that there's something that is even deeper than physical abuse that we must be paying attention to. And the way it will generally manifest is that emotional abuse cannot be done without manipulation.
Oh.
The person manipulates you and keeps manipulating you until you lose yourself, one, and you begin to lose, your sense of right and wrong in whatever is happening around you. And so things happen, and at a point you don't even know, am I right or am I wrong? What you see, you don't even know whether you have seen it or you have not seen it. And that's when you are being emotionally manipulated. So manipulation comes with that terrain where people are, so emotional abuse is a lot.
Yes,
It's
it is.
people becoming confused. You don't even know your right from your wrong.
And
don't
you
even
feel
know
you
what you want.
you deserve what you're getting at this
And
point.
in fact, that's the height of it.
I'm going to really get to that point. As in, when it comes to abuse, especially in the home, when it comes to women who are being abused, and then she believes that she deserved what she got. She deserved to be beaten. She deserves all the insult that she gets because she caused it. How does it get to that point? Is it when the woman loses herself or the man? Because when we talk about abuse, not just the
It's
man,
not- yes,
it's
no,
just
it's
not the
not gender
woman.
specific.
It's not gender specific. Men also are abused. They go through
true.
this, and their wives make their lives
living
unbearable,
hell.
a living hell, and verse versa. So how does it get to that point that the man and the woman accepts that, oh, I really deserve this, abuse in which I get when it comes to physical, when it comes to emotional, when it comes to whatever, when it comes to sexual, because we know that happens.
Financial as well. Okay, so this is one of the when you are, there is no abuser or anyone that perpetrates abuse that has not seen it before. It is something that is very familiar to you. You have seen it before, you have interacted with it, and at a point you believe it is normal. So, and it is usually embedded in the foundation, in your childhood, something that you have witnessed. So most of the time, if you are dealing with abuse cases, definitely the person has seen it in operation, probably with his parents or whoever the person lived with, and that makes the person normalize it. So once you begin to see anyone in that position, they've seen it before, so they believe that, like for instance, some men believe that if I want to gain control, then I need to up my game by shouting and displaying violence. That is how I can gain control. That person, that is what the person is used to. And the people that also submit to abuse is very familiar as well. Somebody trained them in the act of believing that when somebody abuses you, the way to respond is to keep quiet.
But
so probably they have watched their mothers submit to this kind of treatment, and it has made it okay.
But let me ask you a question, Mrs. Nike. Is it that submission is being confused with accepting the fact that one is being abused? Like when you mentioned, some women have actually watched their mothers being submissive, and when their father shouts at them, they feel, oh, don't say anything, keep quiet. No, that is an abuse. That's an emotional abuse. So does submission play any part in all of this?
Yes, it does. Definitely it does. Like I said earlier, there are even religion that condition certain gender to be submissive, and sometimes, and thank God now that better conversations are on the table.
Oh yes.
And so now people are beginning to ask the question, am I supposed to submit to everything? Because initially the teachings around submission was generally around submit, and nobody told the women or the men what to submit to or what not to submit to.
Very true.
And so now that we're having better conversations around these issues, people are beginning to ask questions that, what am I supposed to submit to? Because there are even women that submit to men that are molesting their children. And so, because they don't know that they can complain about it. And so now that we're having better conversations. But what I meant initially was that when you see something, once you have seen something and you are mentored that way, and that is the programming that you have, the software that has been installed into you, those are the kind of things that you attract, and you don't see anything wrong with it anymore.
Really?
So if I feel like what a woman is supposed to do is whatever condition you find yourself, if that is what has been modeled to me by my mom, most likely I will end up being that kind of person that would submit to any man. In fact,
even when it has to do with abuse.
Yes. In fact, if I see someone that is not an abuser, I may not be able to recognize the person, because now the person feels like, you would see certain ladies when they want to when they're getting attracted to people and they want to date people, they tell you that this person is a pretender. I don't like this person. That is because the person is not familiar to them. They don't know that person. They believe that if somebody is too nice, the person is a suspect.
Exactly.
And so because of the way they have been conditioned to see life, what they submit to, what they accept as normal, has been tampered with. And so for people like that, they would always attract abuse.
Those
kinds of people. They would always attract those kind of people.
You know, someone told me, she said that once an abuser, always an abuser. Let's say because there's so many women who are married to men that actually abuse them physically, who actually believes that because they feel she's too stubborn, once I say something and she disobeys, I will hit her, kick her, beat her, and all of that. Can that kind of person change? Is it possible?
The thing is, there are two categories of this kind of people. There are a group of people that believe that that is how life should be. and they're holding on to their belief that that is what it should be. If I need to keep her under check and under control,
Really?
then she needs to be beaten. So there are people that actually believe that, and if you're dealing with people like that, unfortunately, you can't change them. That is their own ideology about life. You can't change those people because they believe that that is the way to go. But there are some people that they find themselves in those places, probably because it was modeled to them. That is the software and the programming that they have, and they're unhappy with it. People like that can actually change, given, you know, being exposed to the right kind of help, they can change. But if you're dealing, because there are so many people that are with people that do not see a need to change
At all.
and you are believing God for them, they will not change. They don't see a need for it. And so because there is no true change that does not come with a lot of self-will, a lot of determination, a lot of, you know, you must have seen something that makes you sad about it. So if there's something that you have experienced before, for you not to replicate that thing, it takes a lot of work. You need to be involved. So it's a lot. So even for people that don't want that lifestyle again, they make mistakes every now and then.
Very true.
Because they lose themselves and, you know, they have to still continue on that journey. Not to talk of people that don't even see a need for it. So if you are dealing with the category, or you are married to someone that is in that category, that believes that you too, you know, they hear words. That is why
You're getting this.
Then you need to know that this person does not see a need, because if someone can provoke you and you don't have to have that reaction
Or respond.
To provocation. So for people that see that I'm provoked and this is the only way that I can defend myself or assert my authority, then you have a problem. If you are with such people, there is no need believing God for them. They won't change.
They won't change at all. And I just want to quickly ask a question now for someone out there who is wondering, is this particular topic, is it relevant? Is it important? People don't really understand the gravity of abuse. It can actually lead to death, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's quickly go on a very quick break. The program continues shortly. Don't go anywhere. That human angle topic on family, marriage, peer pressure, drug and substance abuse, societal issues, women and children, and so much more. Now, it's crucial to approach these subjects with empathy and understanding. These issues often intertwine with societal norms and can lead to tough conversations. It is important to create a safe space for dialogue where individuals can share their experiences without fear or judgment. I am Jumai Manson. Join me every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays on the program Inside Today on Global Television. You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, it's Inside Today on Global Television, and we're looking at a very sensitive topic. I mentioned, and I said it's all about domestic abuse and how it affects thriving marriages. Like we mentioned, domestic abuse is not gender specific. Both male and female go through this process. Some go through it in their various homes, and I'm not doing it alone. I'm joined by Nike, and she is here, and of course we'll be breaking it down on what this is all about. With Nike Adekunle, of course, we know she's the lead therapist, the Marriage Haven, and thank you again for being a part of the program.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you know, you mentioned at the beginning, you explained it to us, and you have said that sometimes it has to do with how the person is being brought up, the mindset from the parents and all of that. That is how it's supposed to be. The man feels, if I want to gain control, I have to be abusive. He might not think it's abusive, being authoritative. Yeah. I have to show her who's the man. I have to put my foot down. Whatever I say goes. We eat whatever I want. We do whatever I want because, hey, I'm the breadwinner. I'm the man here. And the woman feels, oh, I earn much money. I earn more money, and I pay the bills. So accept whatever I'm telling you right now. It versus. Now, how can individuals who are caught in this web, how can they break free from this?
Truth is very difficult because you are dealing with a mindset issue. You are dealing with something, like I said, I keep using the word program. That's how you have been programmed to see life.
Very true.
And the first thing that anybody could do about that is to first determine that this is wrong and I don't want to be a part of this anymore. And unfortunately, when we work with couples that have this kind of issues, there are times that the perpetrator of the abuse is willing to change and wants to get help. And so we work with that partner. But trust me, the two of you alone can't do it, because you've already established a pattern that to disrupt a pattern takes a lot. And so if two people just agree, okay, you will not beat me again, or I mean, don't beat me, those things happen again, because you've already built a pattern around that kind of behavior.
But wait a minute,
you need an external.
I'm sorry to interject. I'm really, really sorry, but I really need to chip this in. What if the abuser is someone who is loving and kind? He's selfless, but that is just the problem. Is there no hope in that? And he always apologizes anytime he does that.
That's a normal behavior.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to beat you. I'm sorry, you forced my hand.
That is a normal narcissistic behavior.
Really?
It keeps you longer than you should.
Oh,
you know,
goodness.
After I have a black eye, then I get flowers and expensive gifts. It's when you study abuse, that's actually the cycle, because it just evolves like that. Like, I get beaten, I get rewarded, then you know, and there are people that, like I said, that's why I'm saying that you can't break that cycle by yourself.
No, you cannot.
You will need external parties to help with that. If you choose to work with a professional, or you have other accountability partners. But that's what we do. We help people around.
Definitely.
So by the time you begin to work with them, unfortunately, there are people that pick up. I'm talking about the abuser now. And there are people that just give up, because it's a lot of work to reorientate themselves into thinking normally again. And so sometimes people give up. But there are times that they make mistakes and they continue on the journey, especially if they have a loving partner that is willing to stay through all of that, and they actually recover. But there are times that the dynamic between this couple is that one person wields more power than the other person. And there are people that by the time their partner, and I'm talking about the abused now, begins to gain more self-awareness, begins to heal, and begins to become a better person, they can't deal with the healed version of who their spouse is becoming. And at such times, the abused need to take a decision whether to remain or to leave. Because it's a different thing if you can see me as someone that can begin to share power with you. But if you can't deal with it, and every single time I try to, step up, you have a problem with it, and you are like, who are you to talk to me like that? It gets to a point that it affects people's mental health, and they can't deal with it. And so if you're in such a situation, sometimes the ladies, or let me not use,
it's not gender specific.
Yes, sometimes the victims decide to leave. And there are times that some people, they can build themselves up. Some of the things that we do with people is that we build them up mentally so that they are able to withstand whatever it is that is happening. They can be there and still be mentally strong to deal with whatever is happening.
Well said. Thank you so much, Nike Adekunle. Thank you so much for breaking it down when it comes to domestic abuse. It is a serious issue. And like I said, Ms. Nike Adekunle, she is the lead therapist, the Marriage Haven. And of course, with what we've heard, a certified coach in that area of specialty. Now, domestic violence, or will I say domestic abuse, poses a serious threat to thriving marriages by disrupting the fundamental elements of love, trust, and mutual respect, making it crucial for individuals and communities to address and prevent such behavior. Thank you all so much for being a part of Insight today. Thank you, Nike Adekunle. Thank you for breaking it down to us. Of course, this is like a continuum from Monday. We've today, Friday. Thank you all so much for being a part of the program. I am Jumai Manson, and Nike Adekunle, Mrs. Nike Adekunle, and I will say bye-bye together.
All right, bye.
Bye.